Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of When God Speak. I'm Enrique, Madeline, my co-host, and we're so happy to have you this week. Last week we shared a good story. We got a lot of chuckles, a lot of laughs, and a lot of cries, just because of how God is so good to us in terms of answering us. But even more specific is, are you listening when He speaks? And so this week, we're going to share another story, and I hope you enjoy. Madeline, I give you a chance to speak here.
Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for your support. Our support's getting more and more every week, and I'm so glad that people find some food for their soul from our stories that we share, because that's exactly what we wanted to do, and that's exactly the audience that we wanted to reach, is to just feed your soul and to let you know that you're not on your own, and there is always hope on the other side.
I definitely echo that. Now, this week, we want to get right into it. My story this week, and we'll go back and forth in things that God has spoken to us. But this week, I want to bring up: are you listening in the small things? The small things, the things that look trivial or seem trivial, because it's in the small things that you can actually capitalize and make it into something bigger. Usually, God will entrust us with some things, right? Inherently, talents, gifts, as some people call. But what are you doing with the small things? And my story is revolves around work, employment. And we know that this day and age, employment is very important. And for folks like you and I, Madeline, that we've ventured out into our own very entrepreneurial spirit, always thinking about the next best thing. How can we, treat our customers with the utmost respect and give them the very best that we have? And so we, we ventured out and we're doing our own thing, but sometimes those avenues, they close up somehow. They diverge and make us go somewhere else, and that's the entrepreneurial life. But um, so my story is that I reached out. There was a calling for a job, uh, administrative. And I come from an administrative intensive background. So, keen eyed look, and I could see a word. And, based on my history, where I had to basically eat the dictionary to be able to communicate effectively, and, coming out of my upbringing in the military so that I can ensure that no one was ever laugh at me or ridicule me again, that history. But so my eye is very keen to words and placements and punctuations, all these things. So I said, you know what, let me just reach out and say, hey, I'll take it if you have me. And the comment was, oh no, this is real low. This is not for you. And in today's environment, and I think you alluded to it, and I'll let you talk about that as soon as I'm done here. Is that um, it's time to think differently when you're talking about placing people where they need to. The days of leading with your doctor or leading with your masters or leading with your bachelor's, those days are kind of over in the sense of we have to have the right person in the seat to do the job that we want to be done. And that doesn't always come with accolades and diplomas and certificates and credentials. It's just, is it the right person to do that job? And no matter what the pay. So the whole conversation was around, hey, this is, you're up here and this is down here. And I was like, hey, I have a, I got a mouth, I got a stomach too, right? So, kind of don't put me and my credentials up here if you want a job done. If you want a job done, then I'm saying I could do that job. let's talk. And so the conversation was had, and praise God, they saw my point of view, and they allowed me to do the job. So God also speaks at the low end, right? And a lot of people, they normally have to get to rock bottom to give God the time of day to speak, because He's speaking all the time. But we're so busy, we're so consumed by our desires and our wants, and our you know busy day, that we don't get to hear Him until we're at rock bottom, that everybody's gone away. There's nothing occupying our space. There's nothing competing for our time. And then all of a sudden, that voice, and you're like, where have you been? And he's like, I've been trying to say something, but it's been noisy. And so, God speaks at the bottom as well. And it takes people that are keen to his voice to be able to hear him all the way through, but especially in those critical moments. But you had a point. I'd love for you to share that, Madeline.
I found because I had a recruitment company and staff training company, I always looked at jobs as sacred. Every job's sacred. I always connected from the tea lady to the CEO or director in a company and make sure that I built a relationship with all of them. It's not only one, and the one is not better than the other. And the one's got more responsibilities, yes, because of the position, but not better than the other. And I had the same a while ago. I was asking for a position that went open because I'm studying for business ethics for my PhD. And there was a position open in that line. And a lady got back to me and said, no, this position's too junior. And I thought, what? There's not such a thing because I have the experience that you can gain from, more experience that you can gain from, number one. I'm happy to take the junior position because I need the knowledge and I need that experience as well for my studies. And I'm happy to work for less money. I know what's involved. So therefore, I suggested that I would like the position, and she couldn't see that at all. And I think those times are over. I think the times are over where we need to fit the pigeonhole and tick some specific boxes so that you can fill a position. And I think people need to think outside the box and see the bigger picture. In my company, eventually I learned. In the beginning, I did that because I came from corporate. So that was the culture that I was used to, and quickly learned it didn't work for me as an entrepreneur in my business because it costed me more. Because then I needed, say, and this literally happened. I had about 8 staff in my financial department, and because we paid wages and salaries weekly, not monthly like other companies, which meant that we had a huge, huge deadline, 3 days to do a huge payroll and invoice the client, because the sooner we get the money back, the sooner we okay, because I had to pay all the salaries first. So, everything was extremely important to fall into place by the second, not only by the day. And then I did a audit on my company and on all the positions eventually when we settled down and it grew into a top 10. And I was looking at it and I looked at my staff complement and I thought, this is an overkill. Something's wrong. And I started to combine positions, but I started to employ people with more experience. So, yes, for the position, they might look like they're over experienced, but there's knowledge I needed in that position to take that position to the next level. And that's how I started to employ. So I let people go and I started to re-employ, and I looked at the future of the position and I took people with more experience, although at that moment the position were junior. And I promised them that if they bring the position up to where I wanted it to be, then I increase their salaries, because obviously the company would grow through that. I would have more profits and everybody's happy at the end of the day. And I don't need to employ then another person later on. And what I found also is I put people on purpose in a position. So I made them feel they're on purpose. And it's normally a purpose that they love to do. And therefore, they didn't mind to fill a position of three people's work in one because they loved what they do. They got compensated and they on purpose. They knew their presence is very needed for the company to grow to where we wanted to go. And it became a top notch company because every person in their position was a specialist. But they didn't start like that. But if I had the attitude that, no, that person's overqualified for this position, I wouldn't have, I would never be able to grow the way I grew. And I would not be able. And also, I must say, the challenges became less because they handle it as it happened. And it's not a junior position or a different person that wasn't sure what to do. So by the time I got feedback, all I needed to ask is, what did you do to solve the problem? I didn't need to solve the problem anymore. So it became so much easier all around to manage for me as the director of the company. And therefore, I think people need to look outside the box. Any position at this time always is sacred. I don't care who it is or what they do, it's needed in a company and it's equally important. So if somebody is prepared to say, if I'm prepared to say, I would like to do your HR and redo your HR into transformative HR that where people will eventually flourish in that environment and take HR to the next level where it's not only paperwork, but it's literally caring for the people and allow them to be innovative and creative and lead that position into the growth of the company. Then don't come and tell me I'm too senior for that. Nobody else got my vision and the skills that I have. So you need that to grow. You can't, there's nobody too senior to do any position as far as I'm concerned. And nobody too junior that you cannot train them. It all depends where in the equation they fit in. Are they going to allow your company to grow or do they just fill in an administrative position or T? Whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. It's all important, but look outside the box. You can't tick the boxes at the moment. You know, you need to think survival is now important. But how is your company going to survive? Where are you taking this company at the moment? You know, where do you lead the people to? And it's all thinking outside the box.
Yeah, definitely, and also for the on the other side of the coin is the job seeker, right? So you have to
Mhm.
also start adopting humility, you know,
Yes.
being humble,
Yes.
knowing that um, you know the job situations are so scarce now because of the actual closing down of this, that, and the other, that you will have to take something that it's at a lower pay, regardless of your experience. Now, there are some places that are still paying top dollar, you know, top wages. By all means, go ahead and apply for those and go for them. But also consider that you know we need the best people in doing the job, and so sometimes it is those people with the experience and the certifications and all that, but it may not be at the right at the normal, what we would consider normal pay. So just a little bit of humility
Mhm.
can actually get you in a job, if that's what you're looking for, and just do and then bring that full value to that position. You'll only not only amaze the people that you're working for, but you'll find a whole lot more enjoyment in what you do because you're bringing all that value to that position. Yeah, and this turned into a job a job fair conversation, but but in reality is, are you listening when God is saying things through these processes? Because That's another thing, right? I'm one that I don't like to go into anything without prayer, without thinking, and looking at a situation as God would look at it. And some people say, how you know what God looks at? I mean, his word or the Bible, it clearly tells you what he looks at, and that's all I know. So that's what I'll go by. And just go into something prayerfully, thoughtfully, deliberately, with all your heart, and then you'll see the results that you're looking for. But it's amazing how in these times, we have to listen, even in the valley. Now, more importantly, right? When you're up in the mountain, everything's nice, and everybody's happy and everything's great. But in the valley, the real success story is that can you hear his voice at the top as well as the bottom?
So important, and to change over from jobs to where I'm at, where I'm moving. And it's very easy to get carried away in your thinking patterns and driving what you think you should have and how you should do it and when it should happen. And all along, as you know, I'm doing 3 moves at the moment, which other people find one move stressful. I'm busy with 3. So I really, really need to be connected at all times. And when I feel it gets overwhelming, I take a step back and I go, whoo, let me just for a moment. But all having said that, is all along I had a feeling I am moving at the end of the month and I'm moving far away. And I thought, okay, I need a home. I need a home immediately. Where am I moving to? Although I'm moving to my mother's city and I could stay with her, but all along I was pushing it and it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And I was pushing for a specific house. And when they came back and said, sorry, it's been taken, I had such a relief at that moment, although I was pushing for it. But when I went to bed at night, before I closed my eyes, I had this voice saying to me, is it safe for 2 women? And I know it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't. I wouldn't go to bed at night feeling totally at peace. I would be responsible for our safety and I wouldn't. So when that was rejected, I thought, sure, thank you for that, because I didn't actually feel like we're safe. And then I kept on pushing it and I'm on a drive and I'm pushing it. But although I had this voice saying to me, I don't know, go and stay with your mum for a month. And after that, you're going to have a place to stay. So none of these homes that I was chasing worked out at all. And there aren't many in the area where I want to be. So also the timing of the year is difficult, people don't move and so on. So finally today I said, okay, I surrender. What do I need to do? Go back to the first message. Stay with my mom and everything will work out from there. And I made the decision. And my sister phoned at that moment and she said, listen, if you want to store your furniture, close to us is Store Age. It's a beautiful company, very well organized and safe. You can store your stuff in there. It's not expensive at all. So she gave me the name, I phoned. Immediately, the lady was so helpful. I got storage for my furniture. Then I phoned the place, the complex where my mom's staying, and I said, well, listen, I'm going to squat in my mom's lounge for a month with my little doggy. And I know we're going to find a place in January, but we can't find one now. It's Christmas and all that. I did look and it's not working out. And the lady said, you know what? It's meant to be because we've got a buyer for your mom's place for the end of January. She wants to move in. And then it's sold. And that's the time we want to move out. And I know we're going to have a place. So now, after I surrendered today and I calmed down and I just, okay, whoa, where do I go from here? Go back to the original message and stay with that. And the minute I did that and I calmed down and I said, okay, I'll do that, everything else fell into place. It's done. So, how amazing is it if I just listened in the first place and not try to force it? I didn't want to stay with my mom because I'm so proud, at my age. her to move in. She's moving in with me. So I wanted the place. I want my furniture to go directly there. What the heck? Those things are actually not important. And there's probably a reason why I need to stay with her for a month. It's also calming my finances down because I don't have work. But apart from that, I think we need the bonding time. We haven't seen each other for 2 years. And I just think it's going to be beautiful, lovely. And then we can go and look at places together and find a place that we like. But apart from that, how is that? The place is sold. There's a lady that's interested. Actually came and looked at the place a couple of times, my mom's place, from the outside without us knowing about it. And she loves it. And she's ready to move in at the same time. So everything's just flowing back in their flow. So this is what happens when we do not listen to God. When you get this little notch and you get this little push and you get this voice in your head that say, I don't think so, that's when you need to listen. That's when God speaks to you. It's your intuition. We're born with it. He dials me through my intuition. I've got it since a child. I dial him through prayer and meditation.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so heartwarming when he's so deliberate. He's so direct. He deals with us at a personal level, and that's what I love about my relationship with my father is that he's so personal. There's so many needs around the world, but he cares enough for my specific need to answer that specifically. And he did that for you, and it's so nice to hear. So, folks,
Mm,
the point of this whole session today is, are you listening in the little things, right?
mm,
Where people are dismissing his voice because it's either you're too high in pay, that's not for you, or that's a position that's too menial for you, or the simple move, and how to address something uh, that will get us into a place of peace, tranquility, and just flowing in an essence that's just straight His. So
mm,
listen out, not only when all things are good, but listen out in every step of the way down to the valley if that's where you're headed, because we all have peaks and lows, right? We all have valleys and we all have mountaintops. But the point is, are you listening throughout the whole journey? And so I encourage you to find that place where you can listen to his voice and hear him. Until next week, we bid you blessings and success, and we'll see each other again this time next week.
Thank you for listening and thank you for joining us. Please like our videos and share it as far and wide as you can. Till next time.